series, just little short talks on witchy things, occult stuff, left-hand path, whatever the fuck I feel like talking about, because I'm a Gemini. I have a very exceptionally high daily word count, and I don't often reach it, so sometimes I have to make videos to get those words out. It's a thing. So, in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about getting over your fear of divination. And what I mean by that is I have sat there struggling with doing tarot readings for years for the sole purpose of I'm an academic nerd. I feel like I need to memorize every single book and every single variation in different aspects for every single card and reversals and whatnot to be able to do reading. And then when I found that I was in that mindset, I'd always be like, oh God, I've got these cards here. I have no idea what they mean. And I'd be like going back and forth with the book and looking like, okay, and that having that background's great, knowing, what that means. But what I've been working on a little bit more is doing intuitive tarot readings. And where you need it's not easy sometimes, but you lay out the cards and then you just open yourself up when you're doing a reading for someone or yourself to kind of looking at the card. Now, I prefer to have more visually figurative cards. When I work with the Thoth deck a lot, and a couple other ones primarily. I will say some of the artier decks, I do like the Salvador Dali deck a lot. But the only problem I have with it is the minor arcana cards are not numbered. And you're sitting there going, okay, how many rods is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's 5 rods. Not 6, not 4, but 5. But it's a beautiful deck otherwise. But when you're laying those out, when you're looking at the cards, being able to just open yourself up to intuitively, like, what is that card saying? How does it relate to that person's question or what you're doing in the reading? Even if it's a general reading, and it might not and what comes up intuitively might not make sense to you, but it'll make sense to the person you're doing a reading for. And I have 2 or 3 people who do readings for me regularly that, they'll be like, I don't know what this means, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's that, and it's always spot on. Even sometimes months down the road, you're like, oh yeah, that was that thing you told me about last summer. Good call. So it's getting over that fear that maybe what you're saying could be wrong. It's how it's interpreted. And it's not like, ooh, the death card came up, you're gonna die tomorrow. No. The death card is like cycles of change and rebirth and regeneration and growth and something new happening. It's not like, oh God, you're going to die in a car accident tomorrow. No. Very rarely, but no. So it's kind of looking at each card and kind of knowing a little bit what it's about, what it represents in an archetypal sense, in a grand scheme of things, but also knowing that sometimes shitty cards... I mean, no one really likes to have the Tower card come up in a reading, I'm just saying. But they serve their purpose. Like, I've had the Tower card come up in a lot of readings lately and different things, but it's accurate in the sense I'm like, I did a reading for myself and it came up in reverse. I'm like, and in that it was reflecting my mental state at the time, and I'm if you've watched any of my previous videos in 2021, I'm a little stressed out with my living situation and the crime in my area. So yeah, a Tower card, but I'm working towards moving and getting out of my current living situation, which is frustrating. There's some financial issues around there because sometimes it's like hard to prove income because everything's by your tax returns from the past 2 years. I'm like, I do well enough that I can afford more and I can afford the down payment, but you don't want to approve me for, the swing loan I need so I can, whatever. But anyways, I digress. So sometimes those things they're there for a reason. They're not there to terrorize you or be like, oh my God, the worst possible thing's happening. Granted, sometimes it can be, but it's there you have to look at the whole reading. I mean, if you just pull one card, you're not getting a full story. It's like reading one page of the book and going, well, I guess I know the whole thing about what happened in that book now. No. And those things change. Now, what I've noticed, because I do get regular readings every month, is that now I'm like, okay, I can see from the way my readings have gone, my timeline for 2021 has bumped up like 2 months. The stuff that was originally kind of slated to be in the like August, September kind of area now is pushed up and is probably going to be in like the June, July area. So I find it's a good kind of way to forecast things that are going on and changes in your life, making decisions on things, because hello, we've all been living during the year of COVID, and a lot of us have been working from home for over a year now. Hi. So, there was a lot of uncertainty as to when things are reopening, depending on the state you're in, whether you're going to be going back to work, how the vaccine rollout was going to happen. I didn't think that we would be I would be getting the vaccine till July or August. I didn't assume that I'd be going back to work this year. Got vaccinated in March, and in Philly they rolled it out, and most of the city's been vaccinated for a while now. So a lot of places are like, okay, you're coming back to work now or by July. So where I was thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe the fall semester, maybe like August, September, but no, that's July. That changes the dynamics a little bit. Also, I've been wanting to move for a year, but I was kind of like, all right, let's kind of like passively get the ball rolling. Maybe we'll do it like September, October, and then now that's kind of being pushed up because of the extenuating circumstances. So you're kind of looking at these different cycles, and also planetary influences can be a hell of a thing. Because sometimes I'll be like, I think it was in April this year, where I was just like, I like every day I look up, I'm like, which one of you planets up there is being an asshole today? Because like there's just like everything was just like, what in the world is going on? Like everyone was just batshit insane, and like all this just weird shit was happening because everyone was just batshit insane. And I'm like, which one of you planets is being an asshole? Turns out, I think it was Chiron, which makes Chiron's a planetoid for those that aren't aware. So, Chiron, from my understanding, is kind of like, I think referred to kind of as the wounded healer influence. So it's like, it's going to be the planetoid that brings up like your dirty ass trauma that you have. And it's like, I was laying there one night, I'm like, I'd like to go to sleep, but let's revisit 30-some years of relationship trauma. That's fun. But also I was kind of like, yeah, that was a fucked up thing that happened, but I'm over it. I healed. I'm okay. But, still just sitting there for a couple hours going, oh, yeah, I remember that and this thing and blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, I forget what this video was about. But anyways, oh yes, it was about divination. And there are other forms of divination. And do what speaks to you. Like, I have runes. I don't think I've ever done a rune reading. It's just, I don't really work within the Norse tradition. So it's not something that, like, calls to me. Funny side note, I'm having pendulum issues right now. I went to go use my I had a snowflake obsidian pendulum. Pulled it out, the tip had broken off somehow. I ordered a pendulum online, got lost in the mail. Ordered a replacement, which also, and then they sent me a replacement, which also seems to be lost in the mail. I picked one up at a local occult shop. The next day I went to pick it up, I accidentally dropped it on the floor, and the tip broke off. Someone does not want me to have a pendulum. I just ordered another one. Fingers crossed, maybe it will get here and I'll have a pendulum again. But for now, no pendulum for me. The other thing I've been playing around with lately is using dowsing rods. I got these really cute little, they're copper. And they have, these ones are a little fancier than some of them, but it's got like a little hematite and a little pretty handle on it. But, it works similar to, It works similar to kind of the way pendulums do, where you kind of ask yes, no answers. Like, it'd be like, show me a no, and it'll go that way. Or show me a yes, and it'll go this way. Or sometimes your cat will come up and be like, hey, this looks like fun, and just start batting it around in circles. Because, yes, that happened. It was hilarious. I also do, in addition to tarot, I have way too many oracle decks, which, cover various things. Some of them are more shadow work based. Some of them are more educational. Some of them are, like love and romance, or, things about dark goddesses and different demons and fallen angels. So I don't really use spirit boards or Ouija boards very often. Although when I do, I think it's fun to use a pendulum instead of the planchette for some reason. I don't know why. I know other people do it too, but I'd like to get a really nice, like, handmade, like hand-carved magical one, rather than like the generic board game kind of ones that you see in stores. And I do this stuff all the time. Like, some people are like, oh my god, Ouija boards, ah! You watch, like, The Exorcist 120 times and you're scared. I get it. Some people have had scary experiences, not to dismiss that, but I don't know, I guess I like scary shit. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. But this is a little bit on intuitive divination. And don't be afraid to ask your spirits questions. Because it comes in handy, and sometimes they will warn you of shit that's coming down the pike. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and love y'all.